Sidewinder. It's nothing fantastic. It allows me to change the DPI, which I very rarely do. But it's got a couple of extra little buttons, like 3. Basically, it allows me to do TeamSpeak, and I've got like one of the primary healing spells there, like my Shadow Word Absorb Shield. Like I've got that bound, and it's quite a nice little one, because that gives people a little bit of a speed buff, which is kind of useful, because that's obviously how I spec my talents, but that's another thing. I'll get onto that later. So that's my third tip. My fourth tip is scroll out as far as you can from your character. There is a code to set your range max far out, but the further out you are, the more you can see. It's down to your peripheral vision again. Your peripheral vision is something about that big. It's not very big at all. So obviously the further out it is, the bigger it's going to get, basically. So we start here and it's just going to get bigger. Yeah, I'm not going to do that for too much longer because I look a bit sad, even more sadder than doing this. So that's my fourth tip. My fifth tip is configure your add-ons to your own needs. I've kind of touched upon that in your WoW interface section and explanation that I did earlier when I was talking about interface and add-ons. Tip 6, or the sixth tip, is manipulate your talents to your personal preference. Research this and adapt. As a good example here, you all knew I favoured Spirit, which I always have done as a Holy Priest for a long time over all of the stats. After research, I improved by balancing Spirit with Intellect. I still consider that more heals equals win, but slightly more heals optimised to last the duration of an encounter, coupled with slightly more powerful heals throughout, has made me a more powerful and have greater efficiency as a healer. So it's the same for every class. There's always stuff you can tune. There's always stuff you can, make better. Seventh tip, it's just a fairly simple one. Do as your raid leader asks, really. If if necessary, bring enough buff food for a full night of wiping, a stack of 20 at least, I'd say. Potions, it's always useful to have them. Yes, we give them on our guild. Not all guilds do. You should bring them. Be good. Like potions, I've said potions, sorry. But I meant flasks is the other thing, obviously. We give them, but again, it's important. Numbers count. Eighth tip, which is all sort of general raiding stuff. It might sound a bit mundane, but as I say, I'll get into some of the nitty gritty stuff in a little bit. Which is turn up on time. Don't go AFK unless a break is called. Come prepared. Have completed your research on the tactics and your own class, etc., etc. As I say, although our guild, we're not elitist, we have quite a fairly good time. We're not massively progressed or anything like that, etc. We enjoy ourselves at the same time of raiding. If people abide by the general necessities, it cuts down on the time wasting and such forth, and it allows leeway for having a good laugh and giggles, and you can all laugh at me about this video, okay? Fourth section, and this is kind of the main section of this whole video, really. It's all been leading up to this. As I say, I'll just to do a little recap, which I'm just obviously doing every so often, just to give you a refresher as your physical layout of your desk, i.e. keyboard, mouse, etc., etc., monitor, your computer, optimizing your graphics, etc., but having a decent computer first and foremost. Your WoW interface and your add-ons, dominoes, grid, whatever else it may be that you use. Other useful raiding tips, which I've just sort of gone through with you now. And now we're moving on to skill and reaction, which is the final stage of this video. This is a section that essentially I can't teach you, and yet it's probably the most important requirement of all. Ultimately, every player has a capability level, but if each thing that I have told you helps you improve 1% or 0.1%, it's better than off you was before. I generally think the 4 other topics that I've covered would amount to at least sort of 30% of a player. Now this section with skill and reaction is probably 70%, in my personal opinion. But yeah, as I say, this is something I can't teach you, but hopefully I can give you a direction how to optimize and tweak your fundamental ability. Ultimately, as I say, everybody has a unique and individual reaction speed, understanding and general ability. I can liken this to a sprinter for you. A sprinter will have fast twitch fibers, which is the natural ability to spring faster and propel themselves faster at a greater speed than their competitors. Yet every player, like every sprinter, can enhance and optimize whatever God-given speed they were given at birth. Usain Bolt, for example, just beats himself over and over and over again. All the topics, as I say, I've discussed can provide you with an instant advantage. However, it does not mean you'll be one of the best players of the game. You can nurture your basic ability by practicing. The more you practice, the more likely you are going to opt for the best solution in a given situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go slightly psychological here. Look into my eyes. And basically just discuss how it is relevant as a psychological thing. Basically through practicing, excuse me, tongue twister, your depth mind will automatically embark on a thought process faster than you can consciously recognize, as this is an unconscious thought process whereby your depth mind will A, remember this spell is bad and or good in this situation. So remember A, this spell is bad in this situation, but yet B, this spell will work in this situation. The more you practice, the more your depth mind will improve, it will enhance, and therefore in turn improve your decision making. And that is a portion of the build up as what most people and myself recognise as skill. Another section in the build up of your skill or ability would be researching. Continuing on the psychological approach here. For those of you who do not know, there are different types of learning mechanisms. These are known as visual, audio, and kinetic. I'd consider myself a kinetic learner. I learn better by doing and action. I'd say our current GM, as I was obviously GM, but one of my best real life friends has got it at the moment, Mikey. He would be what I call a visual learner. He learns best by reading and researching and such forth. He would look at something and read it. Whilst I'll consider the likes of Nos, happy little Welsh, yeah. I would say that he learns best by audio. I mean, you obviously can all tell by the amount he likes to talk that he learns from basically speaking and listening. Whilst I consider the likes of Nos as an audio learner, there's no, and Mikey as a visual and me as a kinetic, there's no right or wrong way of actually learning. However, using all three methods will give you an advantage. Using one method of learning will develop one section of your understanding of a given encounter, whilst another method of learning will develop another. I'm going to use something a little bit of cliche here, but I have an Irish friend, a real life friend, who used to say the more I play, the luckier I get. I think he's both wrong and right personally. The more you do anything, the better you will get. In this respect, he's right, but he's wrong in the sense that it isn't luck, which is really the underlying message in this little proverb. The luck being referred to is actually the depth mind, which has been nurtured to a point where decision making has become second nature, based upon a number of variables which your mind calculates, and the reaction is delivered based upon the speed your depth mind calculates the variables, which is indefinitely much faster than your consciousness can ever reflect. Because let me give you an example here in inverted commas. Consciousness is visualize, analyze, reaction, action. Your depth mind is visualize, action, because your mind has already analyzed this previously and has already made the decision on the reaction, if that makes sense. A good example of this is football. Most people play football, so I've used football as an example. You can put yourself in one-on-one situations, striker, goalkeeper as a striker, with a goalkeeper thousands of times, and nurture the ability of making the right decision and your composure in executing this decision. The only thing that cannot be nurtured is the skill to perform the decision undertaken by your depth mind in the sections of physical time required to make that decision. But yeah, I mean, I fully realise I've gone off on a tangent with that, but I mean, it's all relevant in the makeup of your skill and reaction. but I wanted to basically fully express how everybody has the capability to improve the game, and everybody should have a basic understanding of the factors that the way this can be done. Going into the the deep sections of this, it gives you that, I think, more of an insight and understanding to improve your game. Now that obviously we're in heroic progression, and I think we've come to a stage where we are kind of struggling a little bit now. As we have come to somewhere now where these things all come into play. If we got all these things perfect, we would probably be an 8 out of 8 guild. We've got great members, we're all friends, etc. But some of these things, different parts of it for different people, I think, are not coming into place, and it's just something that I think we're just better off addressing. So yeah, that's basically it for reaction skill. The one other thing which is my main tip for nurturing that is a PvP, player versus player. Do not underestimate how superior people's reaction are to that of artificial intelligence or AI. I try to keep myself sharp for PvPing at least a couple of times a fortnight. I get less and less so to do nowadays, but when I first started playing WoW, I just PvP constantly. I found myself playing against some of the in a guild called Megalomania and Boulderfest at the time, where it was one of the sort of like top 20-30 guilds in Europe at the time. One of my real life friends had that guild, and he had a holy priest, funnily enough, which is kind of probably where I've got mine from. I was a mage, it was my first character, and I used to hammer him every time. And yes, you could say, yeah, but mages are OP, but back then, which was early BC, not so much so. He was completely full kitted out in some of the beautiful T6 gear, SP and all that, and I was in a lot of newbie gear really, and it was pretty good. So yeah, I would say at least a couple of times a fortnight try and get some PvP in. But yeah, after all of this mad video that I've done, it's like 30 odd minutes long. If you watch it all, kudos to you. If you don't, can't say I haven't tried. I've got a little YouTube channel now going on, which you can find us at SandS Guild. It doesn't seem to be working properly yet, but I'll try and sort that out. So yeah, if you're in my guild, try not to be too harsh on yourself, because you know I will be. So we'll mic it. If you're not in my guild, I hope this helped a little bit and didn't bore you too much if indeed you got this far. Yeah, remember, in heroic raiding, seconds count. Peace out.